Hi there, everybody. Welcome to our 17th TILO Presents webinar session via Google Hangouts. My name is Carrie Rasak, and I'm the Integration Specialist at Rossford Schools in Northwest Ohio, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Today, Vicki Turner from Strongsville will be presenting, and her session is going to be probably about 45 minutes long with a question and answer session at the end, as well as throughout. If you have any questions, again, hopefully you get the link to that document. It's also in the YouTube description, so you can check that out and type in any comments and or questions for Vicki or about her presentation. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Vicki and have her introduce herself and go ahead and get started. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, for that introduction, and I'm happy to be here on this lovely day in April. I am going to start my screen share, and I will be talking about SMORE and Google Slides. And I'm assuming that many people are already familiar with Google Slides, so I won't go into that very much, but I will talk about SMORE, and I'll take you through at the end how to create a SMORE flyer. There is a free version of SMORE. So we'll just jump right in. Again, my name is Vicki Turner. You can find me on Twitter at vturner8. And these are my 8 children, my 5 sons and my 3 daughters. And I also have a little door resume here. When I was an administrator in Worcester, I went to an at-risk a program about at-risk students, and they had recommended that teachers and administrators create what they called a door resume, which would sort of show you as a real person, but also that you went through schooling and what kind of schooling you went through. So I usually include that as a little bit of background information and laminate it and keep it in my room. And before we get started, I'm going to do a little detour here on hex color codes. So many people, when they're working on presentations, are always looking for that special color that will go with their presentation. And I am going to, when you get this link at the slideshow link at the end, you can click on these. But I'm just going to go to my favorite where I go all the time to create the colors to match my presentation. I usually use Unsplash or Pixabay to get photos for my presentations. So I'm just going to click into this color code where I get my images from. And there are many, and you might already have your favorite. And as you can see here, it asks you to choose a file. So I'm going to choose a file. And I had a picture in here that I got from Unsplash. And then you click Show the Image. And what I like about this one is that as you scroll over, you can see the color changing over here. So you can pick just the right color that you want. And once I click on it, you'll notice the color code comes up. And then I can highlight that, copy it. And I'll jump back into my presentation. And I have this blank slide right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that picture. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Maybe delete that. I'm going to go ahead and insert that image first. So I have my picture there, but I want my background image to be a color that's in there. So I'm going to go ahead to the background, and I'm going to change my background color. And you'll see when you go into color that you can, make my screen a little smaller, you can go to custom. And once you're in custom, you'll be able to access where to put that code. So I'll paste that code in there, and notice it turned that color green. And then I click done, and then I have the exact color that I want to use in my presentation. So I'll go on from there. Looking at SMORE, 3 of the things that SMORE does is you can design a flyer or newsletter, some type of bulletin or an event, and then you can share it. So you can share it through all of these different media outlets, and then you can also see your results. So there's some analytics that you can look at if you're interested in doing that. The way I use SMORE at school mostly is for my tech bulletins. So I just did a screenshot of a few of them, and we'll take a little bit of a deeper look in a minute. But you notice you can see a lot of holidays, so I tend to try to get them out before any kind of special holiday. And these are all designs that are already in SMORE. So I just pick one like that. And then I also use them for presentations. So, and I also use them as sort of a place to store. So if I'm curating, it's where I kind of bookmark things in a more visually appealing way. So if I'm doing a presentation on Animoto, I usually will have some kind of SMORE backup that I will also use. But we also use it for, I created one for our summer school online. And then this was what principals could send out. I have an extensive SMORE newsletter for all my makerspace information. And then I have, you know, my one-to-one device. And I'm going to exit here, and we're going to jump into SMORE, and then we're going to look at the Educator Hive. So it's just smore.com, and I'm signed into my account, and it is free. There is a free version of SMORE. It used to be 5 flyers that you could have for free. I think it might be 3 now. And then I believe it's $59 a year if you're going to pay for their pro version, but they usually offer discounts for educators, so it's more like $35 a year. And what that means is I get to keep all my flyers because I do a paid version. So I don't lose any of my flyers, which I like. So you see I have all these different flyers in here. And I also have where I've put them in folders. So if I just want to see my tech bulletins, you can see I have 44 tech bulletins in there. And I can split it up that way. But if I were doing the free version, I would have basically 3. And what I would have to do then is just keep reworking one of those. A couple of years ago, I presented SMORE to our principals, and I think every one of them now use those to send out to their parents and also to their staff. So some of them have a paid version, and others I've noticed will just reuse the same link, and they just keep updating it every month. So that is an option for you to do there. And then one thing that is really cool is what's called the Educator Hive. So in SMORE, if you click on the Educator Hive, and they also have a really good presence on Facebook. So if you want to follow them on Facebook. So the Educator Hive is for teachers. And you can see they have presentations, newsletters, assignments, and announcements. And then these are ones that people can share. So if you're interested in the growth mindset, you can click on that flyer, and you can look at what they have up there. And if you like all this information, you know, this looks like a really good flyer, then you can go ahead and use it as a template. So rather than starting from scratch and trying to hunt down all this information that they put on there, you can go ahead and just use that template. So teachers share their
moment. Looks like she's coming back right now. There she is.
Hello. All right, let me share my screen again. All right. So I was saying I have a newsletter, SMORE, and this is one that when I talk to the principals and administrators at first, I just use as a very basic template, and I gave them some information. So for instance, I showed them how to put a bullet in here. And then I also had some actual links to, you know, how to design a good newsletter. So there was some good information for them they could click on. And then I showed them how to add pictures. I showed them different ways you can add pictures, how to add a video. And when you add a video like this, you can watch it right in there, or you can click on YouTube to go to the video that way. And then there's a form, Google form that I embedded. and there's a audio, and then they have my contact information at the bottom. So if you are using SMORE for a newsletter, there are some good basic tips as far as newsletters go that you should follow, just as if you were doing anything else. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, because I had this app smash of my Google Slides and my SMORE newsletter, and I have this little slide here. Dewey advocated for students to be actively engaged in authentic interdisciplinary projects connected to the real world. And we often use that expression about the real world, and when we're in school, we tell students, when you're in the real world. And I usually encourage, when I'm running trainings, that people use the tools that they use at school in their real life. So you can create a Google site that is for maybe your family reunion or for your family on your personal account. And so along those lines, my kids have always asked me for my recipes, and I'm always writing them down, and they're kind of all over the place. So what I did was I started by creating this Google Slides with all of my recipes, and I was just going to share that at first with my family. So as I started going through it, and in Google Slides, if you didn't know, you can connect, can make a table of contents that goes by slides. So if you just want to click on there, it'll take you right to the slide. But I started making all of these slides and then I started thinking about how I was going to give this to my children, and how I was going to put it out there. So then I started thinking about SMORE and how much I like SMORE, and I use SMORE all the time. So then what I did was I created a Merry Christmas SMORE newsletter. So within this newsletter, I put my own pictures, my own little greeting card, and then I added my recipes here from my Google Slides. So as I added them, and of course you can see that you can hyperlink, when you click on any of the hyperlinks in here, it's going to take you right to that slide. So if I click on granola, it is going to take me, first it pops up there, but then it does take me right to the granola slide. So if you want something to do that, what you need to do is you can't go to the share button to get that link. You have to go up to the address bar and get that URL for the exact slide that you're on, and you would use that one, you would share that one. So I did that with every one of these recipes, and then I added some more pictures, and then I have some songs in the bottom. And I'll digress again here and talk a little bit about my YouTube video. So I also put this YouTube video in because it's funny, but whenever I've shown this in trainings, a lot of people are interested in this video because it's a cleaning video and it kind of takes us back to the real world. A few years ago, I was going on vacation, and my sons said that they were going to clean the grout for me while I was on vacation. So I bought everything they needed, and I made this little video to show them what to do, because I thought they were going to forget everything I told them, which they did. So they forgot everything, and then they called me, and I said, hey, I sent you the link. It's on YouTube, so just go ahead and watch the video. So I had this grout video, and they watched it, and they cleaned the grout for me, and it was wonderful and very nicely done. But what's funny is that since then I have 141,000
Okay, I'm going to show
views. So you never know when something, just in your little real world, there's some kind of need that other people will find a use for. So you can also tell that there's a big difference between me posting this as a SMORE newsletter and how it looks, as opposed to if I were to post a Google slide. So it's not that there's one's better than the other, they're just different. So for presentation purposes, sometimes, as much as I love my Google Slides, it is a nicer look to do something in maybe a SMORE newsletter. All right. So again, I have some pictures, some videos embedded in my Google Slides. And then I have this information, so for those not watching the video who are just getting the link to the slides, they can have some of that information. I also made a quick video describing that process. And then we're going to jump out and go ahead and start a flyer so I can take you through that. So I'll close out some of these tabs up here. And I'm going to go to My Flyers. You can see across the top it says a new flyer, and I'm going to jump in My Flyer just so you can see that there's also a way right here to start a new flyer. So for me, I usually duplicate my flyers. So for my tech tips, what I do is I started this OzoBot one, so I'll go in here. So I go to my options. I just go ahead and duplicate. You see there's a delete there too. I'll duplicate my tech tips and it makes a copy for me. And then when I'm working in this new copy, I can make changes, but what it does for me is it keeps my contact information at the bottom, so I don't have to keep redoing that. And plus I like to remember again exactly what I put in my last tech bulletin, so I kind of go through and see what my themes were. So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, let's start a new flyer. And it's asking me, what kind do you want? You want blank, or do you want us to kind of help you along? So do you want an event, a business, something for sale, something for your class, or news bulletin? So I'm going to go ahead and click on news bulletin, and it gives me these little tutorials here, and it sort of has these ghost images of what you can do. So it's kind of, you know, giving you a little hint, hey, you might want to put something in here. So as I hover over a section, I can edit in there. Just click on it, and just going to call it Demo SMORE. And you can put your little subtitle. I click Done, so you can see what that looks like. I usually change my theme right in the beginning, and depending on if you have a paid version or the free version, of course you have more options if you have the paid version to add your own photos. But as I click on this modern, I can get handwritten, minimal, modern, and vintage. So every one of them have different pictures involved. So if I click on Blossom, it's going to give me some different options, and then I click on my background. And then I have, so notice here it says Pro version, but then they have Education 1, Education 2. So they have a lot of different options in here. And you can see it pops up in the background. And then my Blossom one is more related then to the season. So I'm going to pick these little flowers in the background. And then I can also change my colors. So I have a lot of different color options here, and I might want something to be more of a contrast so it stands out. So I'm going to go with that orange. And then I can always change that whenever I want. And I can also change my font. So I usually try to make it sort of match. So then I have my little title there. And then I have a sample paragraph. If I don't want this here, there's a little X, I just click on that and then remove it. And it's not going to show up anyhow unless I put something in it. So then I have options to add some pictures. So if you click on the picture, put some crazy ones in there. I'm going to go ahead and click Done Editing so you can see what it would look like to someone looking at it that way. So it just has one picture over there. And I'll just go back and edit my flyer again, and you'll see everything pops back up. Within here, I can add a title. So when I click in there, I can add a title. I can add some articles. I could add a link. You don't get a lot of options in SMORE, but that's one of the things I like about it, because everything's very simple to use. And so I can't get lost like I normally do if I have too many options playing around. And then I'm glancing over at some of the questions right now. You can download this as a PDF or a JPEG file. All right, so down here, I'm going to keep going down to the bottom where you see I have add more stuff to your flyer. So there's also this little contact page they start out for you so you can add your picture, put all your information in there. But if I click on text, I get this text box, which will have the optional title. So I can go grab, I'm going to go to an article that I have over here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and grab the article. I just saw this today, that fact check is now available in Google. So I'm going to go back to my SMORE, I'm going to say I just want to add this as a title, this article. So I'll drop the URL in there, and I can put whatever I want as a title. And I hit done, and it pops up like that. So when I hover over it and I get that little cross, I can click and drag. So I can put this wherever I want in my SMORE. So you can move things around. And if I'm going to go publish my changes again so you can see what it looks like. So now it looks like this. And when I get the hand, when I hover over it, so when I click on it, it is going to take me right to the link. So I'm going to go into this link and get some of this text just to show as an example. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back in my SMORE. I'm going to edit. And I'm going to go to text. So in this one, I say, check out this article. And I always put the link in, of course, in the article. I would put that in as a link. I would put that in there right there, or I could put that in the title. But right now I'm just going to click done so you can see it this way. And anything that's linked in the article or in something you have will be linked for you. So I have this little section, and then it says Google announced, and if I click on that, it takes me to that announcement. So those links do stay for you, which is nice. All right, I'm going to go back to edit. And again, I didn't move this one, so I'll move that up to the top. And I have picture options, so I can have a gallery of pictures, or I can just have one big picture in the middle. So if I click on the picture, and I click in there, and I'll put my apple picture in there. And you can do this on your Chromebook, of course, but you would have to download. It doesn't let you copy pictures and paste them the way you can in Google Slides. So you do have to download the picture onto your Chromebook and then upload it. I can also put an event in. So if I'm having a birthday party at my house, and maybe this is a real world thing I'm going to send out to my family, and my birthday's coming up, but oh my gosh, 9 o'clock would be way too late. I'm in bed by then. So we're going to have to say 5, and we're going to have to say to 7, because that's about as long as I want to go. And the birthday party's at my house. Now, if I put an actual street address in here, it will show a map. Please stop by. And they can RSVP. So I'm going to click done. Then you see my okay,
There we go.
I'll share my screen again there. All right, looks like we're back up. Okay, so you have your bio information, then you can also add some audio if you wanted to do that. You add the URL there, and of course you can be careful with copyright and audio, and depending on where you're sending this out. And then videos. So I have a video here that I'll put in. It's a little silly one that I did this morning. I just got a green screen put up in my office, and so I start playing with it today. And I'm going to grab the URL for that, and I clicked on video, so I'm just going to drop the URL in there and embed, and then my video pops up, so I can drag that video up there. And again, we'll go take a look at it. and I could click, and why I say it's silly is because I wore a shirt that had green in it, so it has kind of a weird effect there. But I have this beautiful picture of a little town in Italy behind me on my green screen. All right, so I'm going to go back up to edit my flyer. And then you can embed a link, which is just going to show the link. And I'll grab a link. I'll get my SMORE link. So it looks a little different when you do that. So if I go to embed this link, it looks like that. So it's giving me the name of the link and a little bit of the link. So that's just a little different look. And then you can also add a button. So if you put the button text, and then you can have a link in your button. So that's another one if you'd like that. And then I really like how you can embed forms. So if you have any kind of Google form, you can go ahead and grab that Google form, and I'll go get one quickly. I thought I had one open. And I'm looking at our pictures. So as everyone knows, when you're in your drive, you can use your little search at the top. Find what you need. And I recently sent out a Google form to all of my students and staff to see how Google Apps have affected their teaching and learning. So I got some really good feedback on that. So I'm going to go ahead up into form. I'm going to drop that link in there. So there's my Google Apps survey, and I'll go publish so you can see what that looks like. So that way they can scroll through, and then they can just click on that form right in your SMORE newsletter. So at this point, as I go through, I'm going to change. Say I decide I really don't like that background, and I don't like those colors. So you can see it's really easy to change as you go. So I could change that all. I'm going to go ahead and publish. And then at this point, I'm ready to share my newsletter. So I have a couple options. I can share over here with the Educator Hive, so I can share that with other educators. And I can also share with email. So what I do is I share with email when I do my tech bulletin, because I want to send it out to all personnel. So what I do is I click send a newsletter, and then I pick recipients and send an email, and I pick myself. So I send that, it's going just to me, and I put whatever I wanted to say. This one says Demo SMORE. I would usually put like April Tech Tips. So then I go ahead and send that flyer. And they sent, so what happens then is this flyer comes to me in my email, and I have found that I get a lot more people looking at SMORE newsletter if I send it in the email itself, as opposed to when I used to just send a link. So when I would just send a link, I would not get as many people looking at it. So right now I'm just going to drag over my email so you can see that. So this is how it comes to me. It comes to me in the email itself, and then I just forward this to all personnel. So when I forward it, what happens is everyone, I'm just gonna delete this top part here where it has that info. And I would pick my recipients. So for me, right now, I'm just going to pick myself. And I would go ahead and send that. And when I send it, when they get it, it's going to look just like this SMORE newsletter. So they don't have to click on a link. And I think it's much more appealing that way when they see it embedded in their email. So that's usually what I do for my tech bulletins. Then you can also share via Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest or wherever else you're sharing. And then the other way to share is to get that link. You would go to embed, and you can get the SMORE link. So getting that link, you can send an email. You can also do the embed code, so you can share that on a website. So then the other thing I do is I keep track of all my tech bulletins via SMORE on a Google Doc. I'm going to open that and pull that over to show you. I'm a little behind, so I haven't done April and March yet, but what I do is I put that link into this document and I also just quickly type what's in there. So that way someone can do a Control F if they, and I have had teachers, they ask me, they're like, I know I saw this in your bulletin, you know, where is that? So that helps me too to find the exact bulletin. So if I did answer garden, I could start to look in that and notice it's starting to give me wherever it says the word answer, and I can go ahead and find that way. So I do keep tracking Google Docs, and all of my staff has this, and this information is also at the bottom of my contact information. It says previous bulletins. So that is how you quickly share your SMORE newsletters. All right, I'm going to jump back in here. I do have this information embedded. So as you go through, if you're kind of watching quickly or scanning ahead, we go through our share. And then you can do folders, and you can get badges if people are interested in badging. I don't usually pay attention to this very much, but they do keep track of how many, the analytics and how many people are getting those. And then you can create a folder, and like I said, this part's really convenient because if I just want to see my presentation ones without digging through everything else, I can just look at that. I did mention I have a makerspace, and this one's really extensive, and I do share this link out so you can see there are some people, 52 visitors, and you can show analytics. So analytics will show how people are interacting with it, if they're going through direct websites, Facebook. And then I have a link in here to my makerspace presentation, and that's a Google slide. So again, there's that app smash. And this is a picture I had done, a video I had created on our makerspaces, and then I have many, many, many links. And this is where I house, this is like my bookmarks of all things makerspace. So when I want to find something or look for something that I caught my eye, so it doesn't go on here unless it caught my eye or I really liked it when I looked at it and I want to keep it in one place. But then it's nice because I can share it with other people and say, hey, here, I do have a lot of information on makerspaces if you're interested in that. So you do get that as that curation piece. So really that's about it for what I wanted to show you on SMORE and Google Slides and how you can kind of app smash those two. I'm going to go up here to options. I can edit, but I can go to options and then just delete this one that I was playing around with. And again, I duplicate all the time. This elementary makerspace, I opened up my other makerspace, duplicated it, and then I deleted everything that wasn't related to just elementary schools. So I'll have this other one going, and then I'll have probably a SMORE for most of the items that are going in our makerspace, so people can just click on it. So this Ozobot one has some quick info about Ozobots, and then some really cool videos that I found and some informational items. So then I can just sort of share all these different SMORE flyers. And again, you have that nice sort of professional look, and you can share this with students and staff and parents or anyone else. I think it's a really cool tool, and it's really easy to use. And I know most people, once they start playing with SMORE, I've noticed that they start to use them a lot. So I would close then with just saying, have fun with it and play around. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Vicki.
You're welcome.
Thank you for presenting all your great information. I do have one other question that's not on the file yet, or the document. You mentioned it briefly. I think that you said that you have your administrators, some of them using this too. So teachers, do students use this too?
I don't know that teachers are using it with their students right now. I know some teachers have little classroom ones that they're doing, but all of our administrators use it for their staff. And I think it would be a really good tool for students to use. I show it when I present to students, so I'll go into classrooms and have little mini student presentations, and I always show it as a tool for them to use for their class. So if your teacher says you have to present to the class, they could use SMORE as a presentation tool because it is free for them. So I would recommend it.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you again. I think we're all set for this 17th session. Thanks again to Vicki for taking the time to present the information today. And we'll leave this document open for a couple days for if anyone has any other questions. You can put those in the document or comment as well, and then we'll close it up for view-only access. This link will be available on the YouTube page, the regular TILO page, so you can watch the recording or send it to your teachers or staff later at any time. It will be edited later today and into tomorrow, so the full link should be the final, ready to go by tomorrow.
Okay.
But again, want to thank everyone. We'll be signing off, and one last from Vicki. Thank you again, Vicki. We'll say goodbye here and stop the recording.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.